All right, hello. This is section 11 of the Pro Caelio, and Cicero is defending, of course, Caelius here, and he's into a part where it's a little bit more difficult to defend him. Earlier we talked about, well, he supported Catiline in his first, and he was just a young man. Here it's a little bit harder. He's getting to the time of Caelius's life when he's a little older, and so there's a little bit of admission here that, hey, gosh, people make mistakes, and this was definitely one of them. And it's hard to defend that kind of life, and you gotta be real pure. So I think he admits a little wrong. But anyway, we're gonna go to about this halfway mark here at Militaris, and let's take a look here at what Cicero says. He says, therefore. And where satis, as we've seen before, means like having been engaged in or maybe having taken part. So Caelius here, having taken part in the forum without suspicion, tot annos, for so many years. Well, he literally was eager for, studeo there, to be eager for, but here maybe supported. He supported without infamia, without disgrace. He supported Catiline petenti. And here studea takes the dative here, which is why we have Catiline in the dative. And then petenti is dative, also to agree with Catilini, seeking again. And so we assume seeking the consulship again. So therefore, now quem ad finem, if we take that literally, means to what end, but I think what we mean here is for how long. So quem ad finem, for how long do you think that illam aetatem, that time of life, that age. Now, if you remember, he used basically aitas illa, kind of the same thing there in section 7, but nonetheless here, pretty straightforward. That time of life, that time of Caelius's life, and then custodiendam fuisse. Now, hopefully, we've seen this enough that we recognize fuisse really is just another version of essay. And this is essentially a passive paraphrastic here. Now, we need to say had to be guarded, had to be protected, because we're in this past tense. This is almost like custodiendum erat. So not custodiendum est must be, but custodiendum erat had to be. So therefore, for how long do you think that time of Caelius's life, that time, that age, had to be protected? He says, indeed, for us, at one point, once upon a time. Now, look, we get annus erat here. There was 1 year. But what we're going to do is we're going to take erat with constitutus, okay? So 1 year had been established, basically, by Roman custom. Indeed, for us, once upon a time, 1 year had been established. Literally 4 cohibenduming brachiam, so 4 kind of maybe restraining one's arm in a toga. Okay, so what we mean here is, or to restrain an arm in a toga. And this is a bit of an idiom here. Basically, it means that, look, when you put on that toga, you're you're not supposed to let those arms go wild. And remember, Romans talk with their arms, and they're very, very emotive and visual and very expressive, and that includes their arms and their hands. So this idiom here, so to restrain the arm, means basically to sit back and shut up because you're young. So he says, look, indeed, once upon a time, for us at least, 1 year had been established for sitting back and shutting up when we were wearing a toga, for restraining our arm in a toga, or to restrain our arm in a toga. And now Cicero's getting a little fancy here. He's using a purpose clause to mimic this purpose construction here, and to utoremur here. Now, I think we're used to utor meaning to use. Here I think it means to undergo. To undergo, and remember, utor takes the ablative here, so exercitatione and ludo. And so to undergo training and play, and then campestri is this ablative that goes with ludo and exercitatione in the campus. So on the military training ground. So like think Campus Martius, right? The field of Mars here. So to restrain our arm in a toga and to uh, utor here again, something like to undergo training and play in the field in the campus while wearing a tunic, tunicatid. So, and this is nominative plural to agree with the we. And it was the same ratio here. Okay, so it was the same sort of procedure, the same sort of doctrine, or same sort of practice, castrensis militaris, in the military camp. So look, you were supposed to sit back and shut up and just learn and train and not make noise. It was the same ratio in the military camp. Now, castrensis ac militaris, notice I'm not saying anything and anything here, something and something. So this is a bit of a hendiades here. We're treating this like two different ideas when it's really one. Not in the camp, in the military, but in the military camp. So it was the same procedure in the military camp if we had begun to merere stipendia, to earn a military stipend, military pay immediately. So whether you're a citizen or a soldier, you're supposed to sit back and shut up for quite a while here as you're learning. So there we go. We'll pick it up at quan aitate here in the next part.